Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post. A show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest is an actor who's got right now and next. He's best known for his role as Lil Murder on the Star show P-Valley. And he got his start as a street drummer, a talent he shares with fans via social media on occasion. He's acted in such films as Just Mercy and is set to appear on the remake of the classic White Men Can't Jump. And there's more. He's also shined on stage in the Tony Award-winning Broadway revival, A Soldier's Play. The sky is truly the limit for my brother. It is an honor to welcome the talented Alphonse Nicholson to the show. What up, family?
What's up, family? What up, though? How you doing?
Good. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot going on, a lot of projects happening. Congratulations, you're doing your thing.
Man, thank you, brother. I appreciate you been watching you since I was a kid, man. Huge just fan of the Fab Five and everything else that you had in your journey, man. I'm gonna tell you, I got so excited. I saw that you followed me on Instagram, right? So I told my wife, I said, "Oh shit!" I said, "Baby, I might be on this podcast real soon."
Yeah, that's love. That's love. I appreciate that.
No
and
problem.
As you mentioned, the Fab Five. Unfortunately, when we went to the finals, we lost to two teams, both from Carolina.
Hey,
dude, one Carolina.
Crazy, man. Crazy. Shout out to North Carolina, man. I've never got too caught up in the Duke Carolina thing, but my brother went to Chapel Hill, so I went to plenty of Chapel Hill football games. And then I lived in Chapel Hill for a little bit, and they actually got me started on my street drumming journey, man. All those kids coming out after them games and tipping me and gave me that motivation to move to New York. So I hate y'all took that L, but shout out to the cat.
No doubt. So I got to ask you, because you just mentioned it. I was going to ask you about your upbringing in Greensboro, North Carolina, and you just said how you transitioned to New York. I wanted to ask you about that. And how did your mom creative background influence you?
Oh, man, great question. Shout out to Greensboro, North Carolina, home of North Carolina A&T. I went to James B. Dudley High School, all black high school. The neighborhood I grew up in, all black, so I just was blessed to kind of be around that and cultivate that energy throughout majority of my life, even going up to college to North Carolina Central University, which is about an hour away from Greensboro. And my mom, she was great, man. I grew up in a Pentecostal church, and she instilled us in that background. And even once I pulled away from that, she still just made sure that I had a lot of the tools that I needed to succeed in life, whether that's just, how to correct etiquette sitting at a table, and then how to kind of carry yourself in a conversation, how you keep your hygiene up, all those things. My pops passed away when I was 12. So she had to take on a lot after that. Kept me in the church playing the drums, made sure I was able to be involved in the high school marching band, all those things. And so by the time I got to Central, I had already had all this support when it came to being an artist and a creative. And so shout out to my mother for that. And then I dropped out of college and I ended up moving to New York after having a pretty successful, like what's called regional theater, which is like traveling around the country, doing stage plays. And then, found myself living in Chapel Hill, working at Playmakers Repertory Company for a little bit, started street drumming, realizing I could probably make a living doing that while acting on stage. And so I said the perfect place for me was New York. I moved to New York, started street drumming there, and then the sky was the limit, man. I started hitting stage after stage until I made my way to Broadway. And first Broadway show, we got the Tony Award. And so it was a wonderful experience. Crazy journey, and everybody has their ups and downs. I've definitely had mine. One of my biggest ups is my son. When I was 20 years old, I had my son. And so he's been on that journey with me. And it's a great upbringing from Greensboro all the way to New York. And I tell people I'm still kind of coming into my manhood, but New York had a lot to do with that. And Greensboro and the background of my mother instilled in me definitely had a lot to do with who I am today.
For those that don't know, I want to drill down on something. What is street drumming?
Man, So a lot of people call it like bucket boys, right? You'll see bucket boys from New Orleans to Chicago to New York. Everyone has their own style. And so I was super inspired by those gentlemen. Some people do it just as a hobby to have a good time and to make some extra cash. And then people like myself did it for 7 years every day to make a living. So that consists of what I like to call found sound, right? So pots and buckets, pans. Some people use milk crates, all types of things. If you go to my Instagram or look me up on YouTube, you'll see that I kind of use the same setup every time. The pots and pans that I have came out of my mom's kitchen when I left to go to New York. I was like, Mom, I'm gonna need to borrow these couple pots, but I promise you, I'm gonna bring them back. I promise you, I'm gonna repay you. And so till this day, I still got those same pots. The buckets, obviously, they change out because you end up cracking a bucket, and after a while, they wear out. But yeah, man, street drumming. I don't know if people call it street drumming or if that's just something I started calling it, but a lot of people definitely call it bucket drumming. And then the proper name for it is like busking, right? Street busking. So you have so many different street musicians who do that. But that's how I made a living, man. As long as I can make $100 a day, that was what I did every day for a long time.
That's dope. A hustler.
Yeah, man.
Hustler spirit, truly. I have to also ask, what actors were on your radar early on? And when did you realize, along with street drumming, as you coined it, that you can make acting as a career?
Man, so the acting part actually came before. I've always been a drummer, right? From growing up in church and playing in the marching band, I was on the drum line. But then I realized I wanted to be an actor when I was 18. I went to college thinking I was going to be a music major. So a great woman by the name of Karen Deacons Brock saw me in the hallway and said, "Hey, you got a great personality. I saw you talking to this young lady. I think you should come audition for this play." So I got the acting bug then. And had always been a fan of the usual suspects, right? Will Smith, Denzel. Actually, one of my favorite actors growing up was Robin Williams, RP to the late Robin Williams, man. I was just a huge fan of Peter Pan and Mrs. Doubtfire, all those things. And then Meryl Streep, Viola Davis. At this point in my career, I would say Nicole Bahari, I'm a huge fan of. So all these actors I had kind of been watching, not knowing I was really studying, just loving their movies. And eventually I said, hey, Will Smith, I think kind of took the crown for me as far as his vulnerability. And that's the path I feel like I've been following from 6 Degrees of Separation till now. I did 6 Degrees of Separation on stage. I saw how vulnerable Will Smith had to be for that role. And so I said, okay, cool. I can do all the stage stuff here in North Carolina, but then there's a pinnacle. And then I had to go to these other places like New York, and now I'm in LA. But yeah, on that journey, man, I think Will Smith definitely has kind of been my biggest inspiration, I would say. Now, like I said, it varies how many artists I like and who I watch, but my journey, I like to kind of compare it to, like, yeah, I want to be able to reach that point of vulnerability. Obviously, winning an Oscar, we all know how crazy that night was. It is what it is, but he made it there. So that was kind of my biggest inspiration, I think, when I first started acting. And then the street drumming, I knew it could be a way of supporting that living, right? It's something I love to do. Some great opportunities came from street drumming. I ended up composing a show over at the Lincoln Center Education Department. I ended up playing with so many dope bands and musicians. Found myself street drumming with Erykah Badu one day when she was in New York doing her thing, and so it just, a lot of opportunities came from it. But it was one of those things where I was flexible and I could have my own schedule. I can go out on my own time, hit for 2 hours, make sure I get to rehearsal, come back after rehearsal, hit late at night. New York never sleeps. And so street drumming just became that kind of basket for me to continue to put all my eggs in. As long as I had some type of foundation, I can put the shows in there. And then eventually the TV came and changed my life.
Well, you're crazy talented and versatile. And I'm glad you went there, because an intricate part of Lil Murda's story, and congratulations on that amazing role on P-Valley, is the pressure of actually being a Black man in a setting that is not always accepting of that vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
How did you personally navigate this in your own life?
Oh, man, great question, brother. So knowing the type of artist I wanted to be, the first thought was just, I have to be able to show range, the second immediate thought I felt like was, who is this going to impact, and how am I going to be able to leave my mark on playing this role? We all know a little murder, especially coming from our communities. You all know someone who has to hide who they really are, whether it's because that's just who they've been their entire lives, whether they went from the, prison pipeline and having to come out of that, and coming out and finding out, hey, I'm in love with men. So whatever the case may be, I knew who this gentleman was, and that I could do justice with the role, even though I wasn't part of the community, even though I was a heterosexual man. And so having many discussions with my family, many discussions with my fiance, now wife, and saying, hey, this is going to be a heavy burden to carry, a heavy load to carry, but I feel like it's going to pay off in all types of ways, whether that's my career going through the roof monetarily, being able to provide for my family. So many questions went into it, but I think the most important was, what type of artist do you want to be? Do you want to really be able to push the envelope, have an impact on the culture? And step into those foot. And one of the interviews that inspired me was Will Smith saying, hey, I did 6 Degrees of Separation, but I didn't kiss that guy because I didn't, and he regretted it. He said, I wish I would have went all the way through with the craft. And so it's one of those things where, as tough as this character has been for me, it's come with so many highs. And I think the highs immediately kind of dismiss the lows, not necessarily dismiss them, but they make them feel a lot better, that's for sure. And so whether that's people having something negative to say, or people just being confused, or wondering how I'm gonna have this conversation with my son 10 years from now when he's able to watch this show, I've always knew that it was going to have a positive impact showing this type of vulnerability. And so in my personal life, it just allows me to realize that, hey, you're a true ally this way. You're changing lives in this way. It allows me to check myself at times and make sure I'm not judging someone too quickly, or I'm not judging a book by its cover, and understanding that love is love. And so it's taught me so many different things, and I'm glad it's been able to put me in this position where I'm sitting here talking to Jalen Rose. It's crazy.
No doubt. And I admire you, my brother, because you and I both know, in particular from our community, that level of vulnerability that you needed to show to get into that character, and you referenced Will Smith as well, that's something that sometimes people can't separate the two. And for you to be able to do that really showed not only your range, but how the sky's the limit for what you're trying to get accomplished in your career. Can you acknowledge also the impacts of those from the LGBTQ community and how they've embraced you and or acknowledged how you've played that role?
Crazy amount of love, dude. I mean, it's the love that I have for the LGBTQ community and the people within that, everyone in between, that's in that community, has been from the beginning, man. I remember growing up in that school, we have a couple brothers where it's like, yeah, they may like someone else, or may have a different preference in the bedroom, but you don't want to fuck with them. You don't want to rock with them when it comes to these, right? And so we used to have some homies. It's like, hey, look, you don't want to go rock with him. That's not what you want to do. So it's always been a brotherly love. The F word was slanged around for fun. We didn't even really call people that. We call each other that, and then eventually we realized, like, all right, we can't do that. And so for me, it's kind of just been not a crazy, like, shocking amount of like, oh, this is a crazy amount of love, what the case may be, but it's like, oh, okay, I always knew that this community was cool. I always knew that. And so it's been an overwhelming amount of love for sure, but at the same time, I feel like it's something that I'm not used to a certain extent. It's just like where I grew up, everyone was accepted for who they were. Going to church, whether it was the choir director or someone singing in the choir, it may have been some snickers here and there, but most of the time people love these people. That's your cousin, that's your brother. And so I'm grateful that I'm able to shine light on people that I've been loving my entire life, whether you're my cousin, my brother, my sister, in between. And so I'm grateful for the combined kind of allyship on both sides, right? The LGBT able to reach out to the heterosexuals and say, hey, we love this show. If you tripping, you tripping. And not to categorize people or anything, but it's like the haters go be where they go be, and everyone else is going to be showing love and positive, no matter what community you're in.
And you continue to spread your wings. And you're now a Black-owned cannabis strain.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's big, 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 big. Because that's one of the things that as you know, we've been criminalized for so many years, and now it's legal in many states. It should be legal in all states. As a matter of fact, I talked for years about how in the NBA and NFL, players were disciplined for smoking weed. Now it's not even on the books in theory in the NBA. So can you talk about the excitement and talk about your strain?
No, for sure, man. Shout out to Ball Family Farms, man. And shout out to my good brother Chris Ball, Chuck Ball, and his family out here in LA, man. That LA natives who embraced me the moment that I got here. You know, in New York, I was there for a long time, and you know, it was a black market there for a long time, North Carolina as well. And so cannabis has had a huge effect on my life. That was another way I made a living for a long time. And once I got older and realized that that was my medicinal vice, right? That was something that I didn't just use recreationally, but something that helped me control my anxiety, insomnia, whether it's just small aches and pains. Cannabis had really became a resource for me. So when I moved to LA, I had some people introduce me to Chris Ball, and I said, hey, let me be the face of your brand, man. I really want to continue to help not only push Black-owned cannabis, but the medicinal property of it. And the overall goal was, to have my strain and have my face on a pack in dispensaries. And so here we are 2 years later, and that has happened, you know. So now you got my face. We got the Fonzie, which is a beautiful hybrid, sativa dominant, you know, just lemony, all the terps, they fresh, they keep you up. And we in about 107 dispensaries out here in California, man. So super grateful for that. Shout out to Ball Family Farms, like I said. And we got another one on the way. They already had 6 strains lined up that's been killing out here, from Bruce Leroy to Daniel LaRusso. They did one with Ricky. What's my dude's name? Ricky Williams. Shout out to Ricky Williams, who did a collab as well with Ball Family Farm. So it's dope, man. And anybody want to try going to one of these dispensaries, let them gift you a little something. Nothing for sale, but we always want to gift you a little something, though.
No doubt. Shout out to Ricky Williams, and many people, in particular, civilians and or athletes, because a lot of his career was literally derailed because he was an advocate of something that's now legal.
Right.
He was a beast playing football. I remember him from college, winning the Heisman, playing in the league, and he was literally criminalized for something that's now legal. And for you, winning awards as an actor and all of the things you accomplished, I remember how I felt being on a basketball card. I can't front. How did you feel when you seen your strain, your face on your own strain?
Oh, man, I think I cried like a baby. My wife sitting in here, I definitely cried. And I was like, damn, baby, you know, I don't got to pay for it no more, you know. But, you know, I was just excited, man. And to look back at my journey, man, you know, being arrested multiple times for weed and, you know, criminal record being all over the place, to the point where I was like, well, I guess the only thing I can do is act, because this done put me in a position to where, you know, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to get an apartment. And so it was a full circle moment for me, man, of just being like, wow. And then just motivated to help other people who've been in my position, been incarcerated for cannabis. That's a dope thing about Chris Ball, is that he got the social equity license, meaning that he was incarcerated and went to prison for selling cannabis. And then when he got out, was given an opportunity to have a license. And so just inspired, man, you know, seeing my face on there and just like, wow, this is a huge accomplishment. And, you know, this is going to be my retirement, essentially, outside of storytelling, owning cannabis and making sure I have a lot of stake and property and land to continue to help this industry grow, but be Black owned. Obviously, we don't mind working with other people, but anybody that I come into contact with when it comes to cannabis, I feel like we deserve it the most. I feel like reparations can come through cannabis to a certain extent. And so, yeah, just excited, man, when I saw my face on there, and then thinking about all the possibilities of what's next.
No doubt. And I have to acknowledge this, because there's so many young people, unfortunately, that glorify street life, that glorify prison. As somebody that's had to sit down, can you talk to them about why that's not somewhere they want to be?
Man, it's 100 million reasons why that ain't somewhere you want to be. And for me, it hasn't even been having to do an actual prison stint, but jail multiple times, you know, and understanding that just those couple days or that week or two changes your life. Changes your life. And then you can find yourself, sitting in prison for 10 years, 15 years for clout, for ego, for not controlling your temper, your just all the things that go into a lack of guidance sometimes, and a lack of just understanding, and a lack of breathing. Just taking a deep breath, taking a second to clear your mind, and understanding once you get behind that, that's what always gave me the kind of like panic, right? Is once they close that gate, dog, it ain't nothing you can do. You can't get out. You can make one phone call. That's about it. And then you in there alone, or you in there with some people who really don't care about your well-being, don't care about what you got going on. And they kind of group you into a space in there to where it's like a lot of people in prison have mental issues, unfortunately, who were put in there or in jail. And now you're sitting in there with somebody who can't even really clearly think. You get in a fight, and y'all done seen so many crazy things happen in that hour or 2 hours sitting in that cell. And it just always reminds me of just the clarity that we need to have when we're moving through our daily life. What we need to do as Black men and Black women to give back to our young people, you know, who are feeling like this is their only route. This is their only place to go, which is gun violence, you know, selling drugs or whatever the case it may be. And so, yeah, there's no turning back once that gate closed. You just stuck in there until they decide they want to let you out. So keep that in mind, and understanding that your freedom means everything,
Absolutely.
especially when it's taken away.
See, you're a crazy inspiration because you've navigated a lot personally and professionally, co-parenting at a young age, hustling, trying to make it happen while keeping your head in the game. How did you stay focused on your goals? And then now, even when there's so many voices pulling you in different directions?
Great question. I focus on my goals by staying within my realm, right? Keeping my boundaries very, very tight, family oriented. Knowing who is your family and who is making a difference between associates and family, right? Learning from past mistakes, and understanding at a young age that if I want to accomplish what it is that I want to accomplish, I can't continue to go down certain paths. And so my focus became kind of like a tunnel vision. I know some people have their own opinions on tunnel vision, but tunnel vision for me has allowed me to focus on just being a provider, not only for myself and my son, but providing a kind of like a certain type of peace for myself and those around me. And so whether that's going to therapy, whether that's, you know, making sure I'm staying away from certain people, I was just focused on what my goal was. And so my goal has always been 500 M's doing something, right? 500 M's doing something. And I found out that storytelling is a path that can get you there if you really want to stay dedicated to it. And so good friends, man, my best friends have been in my life since I was 14 years old. Haven't really switched who that group of friends were. LeBron James is a blueprint for me as well. Seeing how you can have the Maverick Carters and the Rich Pauls, and everybody's doing their thing, but we all here for one common goal. Black wife meant a lot to me. You know, my mom being who she was. So having a Black woman in my life who can seriously ground you and move you forward. I always had that, and then fortunate enough to have that in my life daily when it comes to my wife, right? So a good woman. And yeah, man, just that peace and understanding, not allowing religion or the you know, politics or anything pull you away from who you are, staying true to who you truly want to be, and keeping your focus there. That's kind of what got me here.
And I'm glad you brought up therapy because, you know, there's a lot of things that happen in our lives, and sometimes there's a stigma that we have as Black men about our toughness and about having to be just, you know, bulletproof in a lot of ways as we navigate the turbulence that happens in life. So can you acknowledge like what therapy has meant for you?
Man, so much. I just got done with I just did another round, like a session over these past 5 weeks. And I just got done with my last session last Monday. From couples therapy was the first form of therapy that I had. I would say the barbershop is always like not your first unprofessional, you know, that type of thing, having somebody to talk to, but then really going and seeking a professional to help you with certain things. And so couples therapy was a wonderful experience. And then my wife encouraged me to do individual therapy, and it just changed me completely as far as my perspective and as far as the tools and resources that I now have available that you don't even think about. that people can't just teach you, or, you know, where people are not just going to give those things to you. So you have to seek out that information. Breathing and believing is a saying that I use all the time, that I'm just now starting to understand myself, right? Not just on stage, on that Broadway stage, filling yourself up with air and breathing, but in conversations where you're having a hard time, in your daily life where you're having a hard time, taking a chance to just breathe in, breathe out. You know, one of the things I really focused on was being reflective, and in conversations, being aware, but also remembering how you affected somebody at some point and one time, right? Those things have really come in handy with me, especially with my relationship with my children and with my wife, and understanding how it affects my daily, you know, being on set and being at work, you know, your demeanor and how you control your temper, how patient you are with certain situations, how you communicate, how well you listen. Therapy helps with all of those things and gives you an opportunity to kind of sort it out for yourself. So yeah, I think it's very useful for Black men especially, but everyone should go to therapy. Couples, I encourage you all to go to therapy before you get married. You know, don't just jump in there and then do it, but couples therapy, but individual therapy really helps you sort out any type of trauma, thoughts that you may be having that you need help with.
Well said. And because there aren't many moments in our day where we're not on the phone, we're not on the computer, we're not looking at the television, we're not consumed by whatever's happening in life. So that opportunity to be grounded is very important for our development. But I also have to ask you this, because you clearly love music. And with this year, hip hop turning 50, you play a rapper on screen. Please name your top 5 favorite rap artists.
Oh man, that's hard for me, especially coming up out that Pentecostal church. My mama would hardly let me listen to anything, man. I think Kenny G was as worldly as it got for us growing up. But my favorite artist rapper of all time is Lil Wayne. I just grew up on Lil Wayne, from the Hot Boys to the Carters. I would then secondly have to go with another New Orleans artist who's my favorite artist, is Currency. Ooh. Shout out to Currency.
Bars.
Yeah, hard bars for days. Anybody who know me, that's my smoker music. That's what I'm riding to every day. Had a dope opportunity to kick it with Currency. He called me, reached out to me, was like, yo, pull up to the studio in LA. That was epic. Third would have to be, man, who I really be rocking with, baby? Yeah. Damn, she not a rapper, but she is Beyonce. My baby just called me. So Beyonce is an MC for me. Shout out to Jay-Z. I'm a couple of them is 3. 4, man, who's number 4 for me? Who I listen to a lot, baby. Nipsey Hussle definitely got to go on there. I listen to Ocean Views probably every day. I'm not gonna hold you. Ocean Views is one of the ones that just get me going. Yes. And then number 5, I'm a huge Drake fan. I know everybody is like, is Drake a rapper? Do we put him in that top? But yeah, he's up there for me. So yeah, Lil Wayne, who I say? Lil Wayne, Currency, Beyonce, and JC, Drake, and then Nipsey Hussle. Yeah, that's my top.
Oh, that's a dope list. That's a dope list. And I must say, as somebody that just like appreciates Black love so very much, like I know and I sense and feel like the encouragement, the love, and the strength you get from your queen. So I just got to shout that out. I love that so very much. It's honorable to me. And I know you want to take her to get something to eat. But before we get out of here, I have a segment called Gone in 60 Seconds before we get wifey mad at you. You ready to do this?
Let's get it.
All right. Your street German videos is crazy. And like I said, you killing the game. You cover Sade, Cameo, and tracks from P Valley. Yeah. What other song is next for your cover list?
Hey, I've been praying that I can get up in there on Beyonce. The thing is, you can't just cover a Beyonce song and put it on YouTube. They're going to take that down. So you got to have permission to do all those things. And so that's my overall goal, man, is to get in the room, a music camp with Beyonce and drop on one of those tracks. And so, but in the meantime, I don't know, man, I'm going to have to hop on something. Big Crit, P Valley, season 3. We posted a little something. Me and Crit. Yeah, we're gonna keep that tight, but shout out to Big Crit. I might hop on one of his joints real soon too. I was in the studio with him recently, saw him go crazy on the track. So yeah.
That's dope, dope, dope. As you climb the ladder of success, and I know it's great to get love along the way, which artist do you admire that recently acknowledged you and showed you love and made you feel validated by your great work?
Shirley Ralph. Shirley Ralph from Moesha, from Dreamgirls, recently saw me, and I told him I gave me an overwhelming amount of love, and it went viral. My wife had posted it. I ended up posting it. And so shout out to Shirley Ralph, who's a GOAT in her own right, and congratulations to her. It's a dope story too. My wife just mentioned it. Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq hit me in the DM one day with a video sitting on the couch, and he's like, "Hey, acting your ass off, ain't you, boy? You doing your thing on P Valley, man. Love you." Never met Shaq, never had a conversation. The fact that he sent me a video, told me he loved me, and that he loved P Valley, that was pretty dope.
No doubt. Diesel, that's my guy. And Shirley Ralph has actually been on the show.
Oh,
so
nice.
love for her too. And you about your fashion, my brother. I see you out there being cleaner than the Board of Health off screen. So I got to ask you, because we always have that picture, whether it's in our phone, whether it's one we print out, where you like, this is my fly outfit. So I got to ask you, what's the flyest outfit you feel like you've worn?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You know what? The flyest suit that I've worn recently was made by a black man. The suit that I wore on the carpet for the NAACP Image Awards, it has to be one of the cleanest suits that I've ever worn. That good brother's name is Von Teese, the designer. When you open the coat, a lot of people didn't see this. He had all these pictures of me and my son and my family, street drumming pictures, all these dope fits, man. So shout out to Von Teese, the designer. I think he's working with Shannon Sharp now. Shannon Sharp just got him a little opportunity to do something. So shout out to that good brother.
No doubt. Shout out to all the black designers. I make sure I represent for them as well. I'm going to make sure I get a suit from them just because you brought them up. No doubt.
Man, that's hard. I'm going to DM you. I'm going to send you his information, man. He's a good brother. Yeah.
Done. I'm going to make sure I wear it during this year's NBA Finals to represent, because I always try to put on for the black designers. Rich, fresh, all of them.
Talk about the alley-oop right there. I love basketball reference. I always tell people I throw people alley-oops, right? That's what I do. I throw that alley-oop. It's up to you to do what you gonna do with it, but I'm gonna put it in position. Speaking of alley-oops, shout out to White Man Can't Jump, May 19th, coming out on Hulu. I can't wait for y'all to see that too. I don't play basketball in that one, but I don't know if you know this, Jalen. I play Chris Paul in this new series called Sterling Affairs, coming out on FX. Sometime.
Tell me more about that. That was my last question. I was going to ask you about your future projects. Tell me what you got cooking. You stay busy.
White Man Can't Jump, coming out on Hulu. I got a great little cameo in there. You see me pop in, pop out with Cinqua Walls and your guy Jack Harlow, first movie. Incredible. I had the opportunity to see it last night. Shout out to both of them. Great job. Then after that, we got They Clone Tyrone coming out on Netflix with me and my guy Jamie Foxx and Giant Boyega. Prayers up for my guy Jamie. I hope he's doing well and recovering. And then Sterling Affairs with the great Lawrence Fishburne, who plays Doc Rivers. Can't wait for you all to see him as Doc Rivers. And then I had the chance to play my good North Carolina brother Chris Paul. And I did my thing, man. I let my stunt double do a whole bunch of it, but I was doing a lot of it myself, and so I had a great time doing that. And then obviously P Valley season 3 coming down later on the slate.
Well, you're doing your thing, my brother. I just want to send you all love and blessings. Hopefully, we get up and break bread and toss up some of your strain in the near future. No question about it. I want to make sure I represent. And again, I know you got to go and do your thing, but I just want to say thank you for joining the show and continue success, my brother.
Brother, thank you so much, man. Continue to be who you are, brother. You're a legend. You inspire us every day. I'm going to give you flowers real quick, man. The thing that I'm inspired most by you, Jalen, is just how authentic you are, brother. The swag is effortless. The style is always there, but that's you. That's no kind of like performative type thing. You know, it's just always just been silent. I aspire to be that. I aspire to be breaded up, dope, take care of my people, but at the same time, just be myself and approachable, man. So thank you for showing that light and being an easy light to follow when it comes to that, brother.
No doubt. Love is love. And we got something in common that you said that really inspired me.
What's that?
I shoot for that 500 million number too. I tell that to myself. I pray that to myself. And for you to say that number, Let's know that we working on it and we gonna get there, my brother.
Yeah, dog. Yeah, brother. Hey, I can't wait, man. Hey, keep me posted, man. Can't wait to see this on the page. And thank you to everybody behind the camera too who made this happen. I appreciate you.
Blessings on blessings.
All right.